Salam and hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Journey and Reality. On this episode, we are doing things a little differently, something very special to me. In honor of Ramadan, I thought it would be nice to bring a guest on the show to discuss various topics that many of us Muslims and non-Muslims have. Throughout Ramadan, a series of short videos will be released every couple of days. I hope that it leaves you guys with some sort of insight, guidance, or wisdom. I hope you all enjoy. Today we're going to be joined with Dr. Ali Shehata. He's a man of dual mastery of both medicine and Islamic education. After graduating medical school from Midwestern University in 2000, Dr. Shehata journeyed through interning emergency medicine in Ohio and completed his residency in family medicine in Houston, Texas. Now he saves lives while sharing knowledge and practicing both emergency and family medicine. But his journey does not stop there. Since 1998, Dr. Shehata has pursued traditional Islamic education under renowned scholars. He holds multiple ijazas, he's an author and an educator. His works include Demystifying Islam and the 55 Hadith on the Trade Which Shall Never Fail. Currently, he's inspiring minds at the New Muslim Academy. Dr. Ali, you have quite the resume there. How are you, and welcome to Journey and Reality.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I do want to discuss something real quick. Prior to this interview, you and I had a conversation, and you suggested that I should wear the hijab. And I will be honest, in that moment, I felt conflicted. And a lot of that hesitation came from the social expectation and the judgment that comes with wearing the hijab. But you said something to me that was quite profound, and it was that when you do something that is good, something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has requested from you and has told you to do, even if you are doing it for a brief moment, that is way better than not doing it at all. And as well as I think it's respectful and appropriate for the conversation and topic that we are talking about. And so that really made sense to me, and I was like, no, that is a beautiful thing. And I have so much respect for all of the girls and women that continuously wake up every day and decide to wear the hijab, because I love the concept of it, and I think it's so beautiful, but it's something that I struggle with. But I wanted to challenge myself for this video. I wanted to push myself in the right direction, and inshallah, one day, I hope that it becomes a permanent thing. Dr. Ali,
I know you'll do it. I know you'll do it. I'm proud of you for doing it today. So I think it's important. There's a couple of things that it's important to remember because it's a tough decision for a lot of girls, especially in I wouldn't even say in the West. It's tough for a lot of girls all over the world.
Yes.
And one of the things that it's always important to remember that whenever we do something for the sake of Allah.
Yeah.
We're not doing it because of how people are going to see us or to have a certain reputation. Without a doubt, there are people who wear the hijab and they have the most abhorrent manners. They're mean, they're judgmental, they don't embody the manners of Islam, and yet sometimes when girls see that, they say, well, I don't want to be like that. And that's kind of a test, and that's a bit of a trial for them, because just because they're bad or they're acting bad or they have bad manners, it doesn't mean that the behavior that they're doing, wearing the hijab. And so it's important to remember that a person can wear the hijab and not live it, and so our aim should be that we wear it with the right intention and embodying the right manners.
No, that definitely makes sense, because for me, growing up, I would see certain hijabis and I would be like, oh my God, I really do believe it's so beautiful and the concept of it. But sometimes I would see them making mistakes, because we are all humans, right?
Sure.
And we should not judge. But I think we have this natural tendency that if you wear the hijab, you are perfect.
Yes.
But we are all humans. We all make mistakes, right? But
in a sense, though, and that's a good thing, because I remember one of my teachers, Muhammad al-Sharif, rahimahullah, he said something really beautiful. He said that when people come to him and they want to study Arabic, that he usually tells them, instead of embarking on the road to understand Arabic, try memorizing Quran first. He said, if you memorize Quran, number one, you've already got a head start on Arabic. But secondly, if you stop studying Arabic, you kind of lose it, right? We all learned languages. At some point, we stopped and we don't use it and we forget it. But the Quran, you'll never forget, right? You will always have that. And he said, secondly, the Quran will always encourage you to be a better person. So when you recite Quran, people will automatically assume that you are knowledgeable and that, you can answer questions, and they'll come to you and be like, what do I do in this situation? And you might be like, oh, I don't know. I have to go look it up. And so what that does is it keeps pushing you. And so the same thing with the hijab. A person may not feel that they're ready. A lot of girls think I have to have like this threshold of piety to wear it, and it's not like that. You wear it, and then it's going to be one of those things that's going to encourage you, because you might find yourself in a situation you're like, I can't go there wearing a hijab, and what it's going to do is prevent you from that. And so it's one of those things that will push you in the right direction, even if you feel that you're not worthy of it just yet.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, because I remember earlier when I was younger, I was like, I'm not perfect enough. I don't think I would be able to do it, because I think it's so profound and beautiful, and I just don't think I'm worthy of it. But that kind of leads me to my very first question, and it kind of has to do with the social expectations and judgments of society. So I came across this really cute video of this little girl, and she's looking in the mirror while her mom is brushing her hair, and she says, "Oh Allah, just as you have perfected my creation, perfect my character." And it really made me deeply reflect, because when we are younger, we care so much about making friends and how our parents think of us and if they love us enough. But as we get older, I've noticed that we care about both things, both our character and our creation. And by creation, I'm talking about our external features. We start to romanticize the beauty standards that is set by society. So it makes me really wonder, and I want to ask, how can we develop self-acceptance and gratitude for the way that we were created?
Bismillah, alhamdulillah. First of all, excellent question, and it's a very profound question that kind of really digs deep into what a lot of young people, how they think. First, let's talk about the dua. Okay, so the dua that this young girl was saying was, Allahumma kama ahsanta khalqi fasun khuluqi. As you have perfected my outer appearance, perfect my manners. And so the dua is actually a dua that you're asking Allah to give you good manners. It's really not about, looking perfect or looking, beautiful or anything like that. It's really about making sure that we focus on what really matters. And this is what, when I advise and counsel a lot of people when they're, thinking about getting married. And this is one of the things that they talk about, like, how do I know? How do I know who's the right person? And, as Muslims, we take wisdom wherever we find it. Okay, there's a very beautiful story about Abu Hurairah and how the shaitan came to visit him when he was guarding the treasury, and how he learned something from him. The Prophet ﷺ said to him, he said, "Sadaqaka wa huwa kadhub," that he told you the truth even though he's a liar, right? And so we take that knowledge even because it's true. And so there's a really beautiful saying in the movie Good Will Hunting, if you haven't seen it. So there's the therapist Sean. He's talking to Will, who's the patient, and they're talking about his relationship with a young lady. And so he tells him that he talks about his wife who has passed away. Sean's wife passed away. She had cancer, and he said 2 years after her death, what does he remember? He remembers, the silliest of things. He says, these are the idiosyncrasies that make us special. It's these little secrets. We all have secrets, and we all have these weird little rituals and habits and so forth. And so it's about who we invite into our weird little worlds, and who we allow to see the imperfections. And so he tells him, he said, the girl that you like, he says, you are not perfect, and let me save you the trouble, the girl that you like isn't perfect either. The question is if you're perfect for each other. So when people come and they're so fixated on trying to look a certain way, trying to be so beautiful, what you often find is that you can't do one thing without having an effect on another, right? So if we spend so much time trying to be beautiful, okay, a lot of times that takes away from our character. I remember something interesting, that as I was growing up and I would see older Muslim women, I would be so impressed with how beautiful they were. You know what I'm saying? And it's not, again, the beauty of a shape or the beauty of, it's something, one of these like kind of these superficial standards, but there's this light that comes from their faces, and that's the light of faith, the light of Iman, that this is a woman who has lived 50, 60 years worshiping Allah, trying so hard to be such a righteous person, the piety, that has an impact, that has, it shows on the face. It's the light that's, simahum fi wujuhihim, as Allah says, their mark is in their faces, the mark of faith. And I remember like one particular example, my mother, and mothers are always going to be beautiful to us no matter what. But I remember the first time that she came back from Hajj. This is back, before TSA and all that, and so we were allowed to go to the gate, to kind of greet our loved ones. And so I remember my mom coming off of the plane, and she was coming through that doorway. And I just remember this radiance of light, and just how beautiful she looked, because she had gone through this amazing experience of the pilgrimage. And so that's why I tell people, focus on that. You know what I'm saying? The person that that if you're going to pursue just outward beauty, you're going to be sorry later. You know what I'm saying? Because then the character that's under that is oftentimes not something that you're going to be willing to tolerate or you're going to enjoy dealing with on a day-to-day basis.
No, I understand that. I get it. I think that character is definitely the most important thing. But in terms of like women that may argue like, well, I want to do this for myself because maybe I lack confidence in that area, because that's something that I fall prey to as well. Like there are certain things, especially in our society, because it's, you can make all these changes and stuff. And so you wonder, you're like, oh, well, I'm not going to do too much. I mean, of course, I care about my character, but slight changes only to maybe like enhance my face or like make me more confident in who I am.
So when I hear that, and I have heard that before, it really saddens me, because here we are and we're living in this society, and this society continues to kind of pride itself in women's rights and forwarding the progress of women, and yet here we are in the year 2025, and a woman cannot feel confident in herself unless she looks a certain way, and that's really a sad statement. And this is one of the beautiful things about hijab, going back to the hijab, when we take away all of those things, and so when a woman is wearing a modest clothing that doesn't show the shape of her body, when we can't see her hair, when she's not having excessive makeup and so forth, then what happens is we have to deal with her as a human being, and we have to deal with her. Okay, so what do you have to bring? What can you bring to the table? Okay, as opposed to you're just a side piece, something nice to look at, eye candy or something like that. And that's the sad reality. And we're seeing that even till today, that a lot of women are brought into certain roles just because men want to look at them, and it's not because they have any particular value. And that's one of the beautiful things about the hijab and about the Islamic dress code, is that it causes a human being to look at a woman as a person. And I've even talked to non-Muslims that they'll say, like, they'll be sitting on a street corner catcalling girls and stuff like that, and these are non-Muslims. Okay, a woman with hijab walks by, and they shut up. They weren't told to do that. It's not even their religion. And even I remember a funny joke, like when I was a kid, my dad used to like to take the auto train, this Amtrak that you can load your car on it, and it goes between DC and Florida. And so I remember my dad was sitting and talking to this guy on the train, and they were having this chat. And so the guy turns to him and he says, "Is it okay if I talk to the nun?" Mm-hmm. And my dad's like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "The nun, the one that's with you." Because the only thing he knew, he didn't know anything about Islam. He just saw that my mom was dressed with hijab, and she was dressed modestly. And so the only thing that he could connect that to was a nun. So he thought that's just a nun who's dressed in colors that I'm not used to. And that he had for her. And again, the way that he approached her is one that's commanding your respect. And that's kind of one of the things I talk to when I talk to young ladies. I say, you know what? Your confidence shouldn't come from your appearance. Your confidence should come from something from within you. Who are you? What do you have to share with the world? What can you bring to the world? You have talents, you have beautiful ideas. You as a specific person, I mean, you have all these wonderful ideas. You're very, very, intelligent, and the way that the questions that you're asking and just the ideas that you have, that should make you confident by itself, to say, wow, that, okay, I'm able to do something. I'm able to bring a whole new vision to the world that other people don't have. And that should give you all the confidence in the world.